Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we have something very exciting and very large to take a look at. We've got ourselves the Super Colossal Indoraptor. This is something that I was definitely excited about because I love the Indoraptor. Probably one of the coolest hybrids we've ever seen in the Jurassic franchise, definitely one of my favorites. And, a super colossal version, like how much cooler could it get than that? Of course, it's another massive figure for my collection room, so that's always an issue because these things just seem to fill up so much space when you have so many of these colossal figures. But I can't help it, I love the colossal figures, so it is what it is. Regardless, again, you can see the box art is pretty much your standard when it comes to the Dino Trackers line. I do like that they've kind of lined the figure up with the open area where you can actually see the figure itself with the box, so it sort of looks like the figure continues, even though the size is a bit different. It's not every day that you get to see a figure like this where the actual figure itself is larger than the image of it that you see on the box. So that's pretty impressive. But you can see, again, outside of that, the packaging is pretty much the same. Let's try to very carefully turn this around because the box is huge. And there we go. We can now see what we've got going on here for the back. You can see kind of like a size here telling us that it's about 39 inches or 99 centimeters. You can also see an image there of the Indoraptor figure itself attacking some minis, as well as a checklist down here of a whole bunch of different minis that are out currently from Mattel, which is pretty cool. So let's go. Without further ado, we'll pop this box open and we'll check our Indoraptor out from there. So here we are. We have a whole bunch of pieces. It now looks pretty much like we have an Indoraptor that was blown up by a bomb. But as always with these larger figures, it's just easier to take a look at them with the closer look in pieces like this. Then we'll put it together and check it out from there. So let's jump to that closer look at this very cool Super Colossal Indoraptor right now. So starting here at the head sculpt of our Indoraptor, you can straight away see, I think it looks very nice. I think they definitely did a pretty good job in the overall likeness of the head sculpt, and it looks pretty good. And you can see one thing that straight away is really cool is how nicely detailed the eye itself is. If you look at the eye, there's actually some nice detail within the eye. Probably one of the best looking eyes I've seen on a Mattel figure, next to the Super Colossal Velociraptor Blue's eye, because I think that eye was phenomenal. But this one looks also really quite nice, and the actual skin texture and everything here in the face looks very good. We only have a black tone of color for the face. One thing that is missing here that I've noticed that should be on the coloration here of the Indoraptor would be like a few kind of like red spots and stuff. You sort of see that on the Indoraptor, and we don't have that here. But we also don't have like the kind of almost goldish coloration leading down along these ridges and everything on the back. So there's definitely, of course, a little coloration missing from this because that's usually the way it works with toys, but just something to mention, I guess. But you can see the skin texture scale detail again looks really good. It's very, very vibrant. Might be some of the nicest detailing I've seen on an Indoraptor figure from Mattel. And another thing that you can see is it has a very strong shine to it, so it's got like a very kind of glossy satin kind of a shine to it, so really helps the figure to stand out. And I think the Indoraptor kind of has that sort of shiny look to it, so it makes sense. You can see the teeth are interlocking. They're painted with kind of like an off-white, more like a yellow, kind of like a light yellowish tone. You do have an articulated jaw, and you can see as we open it, the upper jaw is actually opening with it, and you can see we can get a really nice wide open shot there for the mouth of the Indoraptor. The teeth look very good. They have that almost genuinely sharp look to them, which is nice. You can see the inside of the mouth has a very nice, very highly detailed tongue sculpt, nice kind of a reddish tone there, as well as a nice gloss coat for the inside of the mouth, and then we can see the same thing here for the inside of the mouth on the upper side. And of course you have a hollowed out throat there so that you can send minis and pretty much whatever else that's small enough to go in there down the throat, and the dinosaur of course will eat them because that's been one of the gimmicks for a lot of the Super Colossal figures since they began making them. One thing I will say I'm not a huge fan of is how far out to the side these teeth stick. Like you could see the teeth are almost sticking out entirely to the side. I don't know that that's how it looks on the actual Indoraptor. I don't recall that being the case, but it's a little goofy looking, but not too bad. Then as you move to the top of the head, again, the scale detail continues to look really nice. We've got some quills there hanging off of the back of the neck. They are flexible. They're a nice rubber, so no worries about them damaging or anything like that. You know, it's not like you can't bend them And then as you move down the course of the neck, you have those scoots and stuff that you see on the back of the Indoraptor. Again, something that the Indoraptor, I would say, is known for. And I think it looks pretty good. Maybe not quite as vibrant as the skin texture looks in the face, but it still looks pretty decent. And then as we continue to move along the course of the back, we again have more of those scoots and stuff running down, as well as kind of like some ridges and stuff that you see, almost like scoot-like ridges that you see here and there. And then as you lead toward the hip area, you can see that we've got more quills, quite a nice little cluster of quills here hanging off of the back of the hip. And then as we lead out here, that's where we would connect the tails, so we kind of, lose the rest of our Indoraptor right there. But you can see we do have that goldish tone here, kind of splotching and designing that stripe that we see on the Indoraptor. Looks really cool here. It's very nicely done, very nicely applied. Here's where the leg would be applied as well. And then as we move back into the stomach region, you can see here in the stomach we have a mixture of this, variation of a gold, almost more of like an orangish gold, and then the lighter yellowish gold. We have two different tones of color there that kind of blend together. And you can also see, again, the stomach has a little bit of girth to it, but it still remains slim and slender like the Indoraptor does in the film. As we move down into the arm, you can see some nice muscle definition there on the arm, nice scale detail as well. We've got more quills here hanging off of the back of the arm. I wish they would have made the quills on the back of the arm similar to you see up here on the back of the head, or on the back area here near the hip, because it would have been neat to actually have them kind of hang off of the arm rather than being flattened out, because that's how they usually are. I think it would have just been a nice change of pace for the Indoraptor. But as you move down, you can see we've got the really nicely sculpted hands. They look very good, very nicely sculpted fingers, and then the black nails. And what's good about this, you can actually see there is a gloss coat on the nails, but the entire figure as a whole kind of has a gloss coat. But what is good about this is the fact that the Indoraptor is black as a whole, and then the nails are black, so it definitely, without actually adding any coloration, looks like it's fully painted, again, with the nails being painted and stuff. So that is a plus when it comes to an Indoraptor. But that's really about it for the upper side, the majority of the Indoraptor, I would say. The body, the torso. We'll take a look at the opposing side of the head and everything. You can see, again, the teeth look really good. The eye is very nicely placed. I usually don't see any sloppiness, especially when it comes to super colossal figures, but you can see the neck looks good. You've got some nice tensing and stuff here in the neck as you lead through. Again, the arm looks just as nice over here as it did on the initial side. As far as the articulation goes that we have on the torso part, we do again have the jaw, and it's both the upper and lower jaws. We also have a spot here of neck articulation where you can kind of swivel it, not all the way, but it can swivel quite a ways. And then of course you have arm articulation in the shoulder, as well as wrist articulation where you can swivel it. And then I would imagine we'll also, of course, have hip articulation here for the legs, and, we'll get to that when we get there. But very, very nice looking so far, so let's grab the other pieces. So here's one of the two legs. You can see some nice muscle definition here as you move down into the legs. Again, really vibrant skin texture. It looks really beautiful. As you move down, you've got some nice creasing in the joint of the knee. You've got the kneecap itself right there. As you continue to move down, you start to see the ankle and everything moving into the foot. And we do have an area, it's a little loud when it snaps, but we do have an area of ankle articulation, a swivel right there. As you move down into the foot sculpt, you've got some nice scoots running down the toes, some more really nice scale detail, and again, the nails are sculpted very nicely, and all again still have that kind of like glossy look to it. But then again, the figure as a whole has that glossy look. You can also see that we do have dew claws as well, and something we don't always get to do, we can take a look at the inside of the leg, because normally the body kind of obstructs that view, so we can actually see it here. And then of course the other leg is going to look pretty much the same. You're not really going to see a whole lot of difference when it comes to the appearance of one leg any more so than the other, especially with this figure. Like if we had a Velociraptor Beta, you would see a difference in the size of the claw and stuff, but that's really about it. So it looks pretty much the same. And then we have the tail. And we can see that, of course, we've got the area to connect the tail, which means we would have articulation here for the tail. You'd be able to move it around and swivel it and stuff. And then you also have another spot, a little swivel out here as you get closer to the tip of the tail, or you can swivel that as well. But you have more of the scoots running down the course of the tail here on the back of the dinosaur. You've got more of the really nice skin texture, as well as more of that goldish tone leading out, but it does taper off about halfway through the tail, and then you can see as we lead out the rest of the tail, there is no other coloration outside of the black. Some nice looking sculpt and detail here on the underside, kind of finer skin texture down here, and there's a nice little curve to the tail here, which you can see as we move along. You can see it has a really, really nice kind of elegant curve and turn to the tail. So it looks really cool, but I'm super hyped to actually get this put together and check it out from there, so let's jump to it right now. So here is our Indoraptor now actually put together and standing here. And one thing I can see straight away that's kind of a bummer about this one is I actually thought that, I don't know why I had it in my head, but I thought for some reason you would have the chance to kind of almost have it in like the quadrupedal pose that you see it most often in the films. It's usually walking on all fours rather than, you know, bipedally, but this one absolutely is positioned in a way where the bipedal stance is what they were going for. And I don't know how good of a job we would do if we tried to get it in the quadrupedal pose. Once I take it outside, because that's where we're going to have to do most of like the images and stuff for it, because it's just too big to really get some nice shots of it in here. But once we take it outside, I will try to get it into a quadrupedal pose. But looking at it here so far, I really don't think that it's going to work too well. But what we're going to do is try to get ourselves a size for this beast. So from the tail to the snout, I'm a little further away from the camera than I'd like to be. I would say about 39.5 inches or around 100 centimeters. So that's kind of what they told us on the box. I think they said it was around 39 inches. So it's actually a little bit over 39 inches, closer to 39.5. Now, the height aspect isn't really going to make much sense for me to measure. I'm going to do it anyway, but you can reposition this dinosaur all over the place, make it way taller. So the height is all dependent on how you position the figure. So that's really not something that is going to be a definitive measurement here. But anyway, it's right around 15.5 inches or about 39 centimeters, somewhere in that vicinity. So, and that's in the position it's in currently. So of course it would, again, like I said, to be dependent on you and how you position it. But for a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, and Robert Muldoon from the Mattel Jurassic World toy line next to our Super Colossal Indoraptor. Now I don't really intend on doing very many comparisons here because the Super Colossal figures are on another level. Like, they are gigantic in so many ways, and comparisons really just aren't going to do it justice here. I will take a few other Super Colossal figures out to compare with it, just a few, not a whole lot, and I'll take, you know, some shots of those here to put at the end of the video for you guys. But obviously, as expected, when it comes to a Super Colossal figure, this Indoraptor is gigantic. So this brand new Mattel Jurassic World Dino Trackers Super Colossal Indoraptor is pretty fun. You know, it's really cool to have a Super Colossal version of the Indoraptor. I will say that straight away. I'm actually quite psyched to have this because again, like I said earlier, I love the Indoraptor. Such a super cool hybrid. They did a very good job of combining so many different elements of different dinosaurs into one and creating maybe the coolest hybrid that we had seen, although I think everybody would say probably more like the Indominus or even the Ultimasaurus, but I'm a huge fan of the Indoraptor. I always have been, always will be, so having a Super Colossal version of it was something I was very excited about, because it's kind of what you expect for a Super Colossal figure. You know, it's gigantic, it's got some nice fine detail, and resembles the Indoraptor decent enough. It's got a really nice paint job for sure. There's lots of beautiful coloration here with those goldish tones and stuff moving through the course of the body. I love the paintwork for the eye. The inside of the mouth also looks really nice, and the black tone looks good through the course of the body, but that kind of satin shine they've given it really highlights everything on the figure, definitely makes it pop, and I think that's one of the reasons why the Indoraptor might stand out a little bit more than your average Super Colossal figure does. We do have really nice fine detail as well. Again, there's lots to be found on this. Incredible skin texture throughout. You've got all the things you'd like to see, like muscle definition and everything. It all looks very, very nice. The figure also has articulation, which is pretty fun, and it all seems to work very smoothly, very nicely, which is also a plus. And on top of that, you kind of have the ability to swallow dinosaurs, and that's always fun for kids, something kids will definitely enjoy. So no matter what, I think kids will, eat this Indoraptor up. They'll love the Indoraptor. Adult collectors, I think you'll also enjoy it because I really do like it. It's just, again, it's got a few proportion issues that make it look off, but as a whole, it looks like the Indoraptor. It's absolutely out of this world gigantic, as all Super Colossal figures are, and it pretty much is as nice as you would expect for a Super Colossal Mattel figure. One thing I will say, though, is that the prices of these Colossal figures are just getting higher and higher. These used to be about $50. Now this retails for $70. And I know everything's kind of going up as far as prices go, but I used to always say, wow, what a great deal to have such a massive dinosaur figure for $50. Well, now they're at $70. It is still a great deal because, again, it is a huge figure for $70. Like, it's still a steal. Even if they eventually hit $100, I still feel like it's a steal for something as large as this, but it is a little bit depressing to see that the price has gone up so much on these Colossal figures since we had Mattel introduce us to them a few years back for Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. But again, it's a really cool figure, and if you are interested, I will include a link in the description to where you can pre-order it on Target.com, but I would recommend going in-store to Target because that's where I went and found mine. It's actually showing up in stores, and if my Target had it, I think probably most should or will soon because my Target gets almost everything late and usually doesn't have anything in stock at all. So I was really excited to actually see this there. So make sure you either, again, pre-order through the link that I will include in the description on Target.com or check your local Target and grab it there. One way or another, do all that fun stuff and also like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.